Well, goodness, hello, and thank you for being here today. To be honest, I never thought this was going to happen. And it's been something that I've been working on or working with for such a long time. I thought by the time I get to this point of telling everybody, everybody would have already known. However, this lovely gentleman who's just introduced me is a science teacher, retired, but still very much in education and academia. And he helped me to accept the part of me that was weird, that was unexplainable. And I've been lucky enough in the last, well, since about 2004, I guess, to really start working with people's bodies, testing my theories, testing my ideas, and keeping stum. Because frankly, they either would have burnt me at the stake, or they've certainly tried to tell me I'm crazy. But I'd like to say to you, I'm neither of those things. There is a wonderful energy behind this world. And when you have a greater insight of that energy, and when you have a greater understanding of the misunderstanding of what goes wrong if you don't have an idea of what this formless energy is all about, then unfortunately, you're prone to stress. Now, I remember a couple of years ago when I'd produced my first book, I was in St. Mawes and I was dropping a copy in for a friend, and this lady was working behind the till in the shop, and she looked at it and she said, "Could you tell me what stress is?" And I thought, this is quite interesting, because she really didn't know. And I think that actually she was really blessed, because for those of us that do get afflicted by perhaps pain, whether physical or emotional, tension, overload, buckling, and indeed breaking, unfortunately, there's a lot of us in that position. However, what I've learnt and come to really see and understand, and the reason that I'm here today asking for your help, is that we're never broken. It's all an illusion. So why am I here today? Well, a lovely lady called Wendy a long time ago said, "You need to turn it into videos, Dawn." And I said, "But I can't. I can't explain what I do to myself, let alone to anybody else." And I was there doing videos of stretching in somebody's garden in Gerrans. And I was running around the countryside doing all this bits and bobs, but nothing really came together until I really understood that there is a common denominator behind everything. So I tested that on every single one of my clients, whether they knew or not, but it always came back to this one point, and that is that everything is created by thought. Now, a lot of people would challenge that, and I can understand why. And when you first hear this concept, it sounds very woo-woo or weird or plain crazy, but if you're courageous enough, or if you really, really need an answer, and you start to ask yourself, are my thoughts creating this? And who would I be? How would I feel without those thoughts? When you start to use those very, very powerful statements, straight away, you start to change. And you know, it's been a wonderful couple of weeks just recently because I've been testing my new program, which is called the First Aid of Stress, or First Aid for Stress. And I'm testing it with a group of women of all ages, some mums, some that have never had children. And they've all been quite surprised because even after the first time that I spoke to them about it, they knew that there was something in it. Although they kept saying, but I can't quite remember how to get back to it. What was I supposed to do? So this thing that I've created applies to every single human being. It's universal. This is how we work. This is how the animal human being functions, right? And once you get that, and the tiny foundation piece of information, you can change your life. The wonderful thing is, there's no technique to learn. You don't have to do this crazy thing that I used to do called tapping, because it does make you look crazy. You don't have to tell people all about the awful things that happened in your past. You can drop the blame and shame even to the people that have done the most heinous things to you. You can let it all go. Because you soon realize that you're much bigger than that. And the form that you take today, this human being form, is very prone to damage and disease and disorder if pushed in the wrong direction, or if that person doesn't know that one piece of information. And you know, it wasn't really until about, I think 2012, that I became much more confident in my crazy idea. And it was all because of the New Scientist, a magazine. And on the front cover, I've still got a copy, I've saved it. It was saying, does thought create everything? And I thought, finally, they're really talking about it. Oh, that's all right. If it's good enough for the New Scientist magazine, it's good enough for me. And I got brave, and I started to ask people whilst I was doing treatments, is this emotion what's going on for you? Because this is what is held in different parts of the body. And they were like, oh, she's psychic, she's bloody good. And actually it wasn't. It was just because there's the same patterns in all of us and the same way that it unfolds, which is quite beautiful because it makes it much easier. Nobody's any different to anybody else, which is also really handy because sometimes we think we're the odd one out. And in actual fact, nobody's an odd one out. We're all perfect. Even if we're imperfect, that's perfect too. It's like this is the leveling force. So from 2012, really, up until COVID hit, I didn't know anything about COVID. I was quite surprised to hear that we were shutting down. But I was also very blessed because, you know, it was the first time that I'd taken time off. Despite being poorly, I've always carried on going and carried on going. But it gave me the chance to allow my body to heal, and it also gave me the chance to do the last finishing touches that I'd said that wasn't going to take very long to get this program out. Well, I have to be honest, it's taken a good 18 months, and I can't even tell you how many hours have gone into it, and I certainly can't tell you how much money has gone into it, but it's a lot. And here we are today. So my reason for being here. You know, nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows that there's a crazy woman in Cornwall who called a treatment Marga therapy because it's the Cornish word for nurture, nourish and feed. A therapy that's for your muscles and for your mind and for anybody, regardless of how old you are or how young you are. It's helped people conceive who thought they would never have children. It's helped people, when they've been due to have children, to calm down and to go through a birth process in a better way. I'm sure that it's helped the fetus inside to trust that it's coming into a safe world. It's helped people who are leaving this world to leave peacefully, with courage, dignity, love, and peace. So it's pretty big. Made from Tregony, done all that. It's crazy, huh? But now the position that I'm in is, having written this basically to back engineer chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, ME, depression, and cancer, all of which I've had, to understand what went wrong, what was causing that in my body, and I made these huge leaps and bounds. And then I realized nobody had told me this, and for a time, I have to say, I was looking at you all thinking, well, do they already know this? And this is like a joke on me? But no. And if it is, well, that's fine. But I don't think so. I do think that each and every one of us has a purpose in this life. And for whatever reason, I think my life path, well, I hope so anyway, was to write this and to help other people, as well as help myself. And as I've written it, I've been very thoughtful, mindful in fact, about my own children, about my grandson, about the children that call me Auntie Dawn, and my friends' children, because I want them to have a nicer experience of life. I want there to be an easier passage, more compassion. Regardless of what's going on, you can have a different experience if you know how. And I know how. But what I'm asking for is your help. Because this social media malarkey, well, I'm not very good at it, and I thought that it was all working, and then I realised that I hadn't actually published, hit a button called publish, so there's no wonder nobody's been following me for all these years. So I'm about to start releasing free stuff, information that will help you, information that will help your children, your family, doesn't matter who you are, it will help. And I'm asking you to share that wide and far. If you know people abroad, share it there too. If they're in America, they might think it's something to do with making America great, but don't worry about that. I think there's a fair few Cornish people out there and they'll sort that out. But that's what I'd like, is to get it going finally, to really be able to uphold the challenge of being a human mechanic, which is how I now see fit to describe myself. And the reason I do that is because I see you as the driver of a car. Your body, I reckon, is the most expensive machine ever built. And I have the privilege of working with it every single day, right? And I'm there tweaking and I'm there poking away, and it's like, oh my God, if you do this, it affects up there. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I feel better. It's amazing. And there's so many people in this room that's a testament to that. And there's more on a global level, because there are actually a fair few people that know me all over the place. But I want to take that and I want to teach people to be human mechanics, because I trained to be a lecturer. I trained to be a nurse. I trained to be a counsellor, all these things, right? But there was a missing piece, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. Because when this missing piece is put into other people's information, it is going to create a massive wave of change, Revolutionary, somebody called it. And I hope so, because I do think we need something to make the world a better place than it is right now. So my plan is, fingers crossed, is I work with people one-to-one and in groups online. And I know it works, and there are people that will attest to that. We all believe that we haven't got enough. But haven't we? We live in a world of abundance, of plenty. We're told that we need this, that, and the other, but it's all nonsense. I'm sure a lot of us would be prepared to be at home looking after our children, or making our own food or clothes, or creating something beautiful and sharing it. But life's just been a bit strange and not treated us quite the way maybe that we would like to be. And that's what I'd like to change too. And for those that go through the education path, that told they're not good enough, that they're thick or stupid or dyslexic, yeah, me too. I can't wait for my teachers to see this, the ones that said I'd never do anything, because I might make a rude gesture, which I won't do because the camera's there, but you know exactly what I'm saying. Because again, we've all got a gift. We've all got some way of showing and demonstrating that our true space, the truth of the nature of a human being, is health and well-being. It's natural, it's unbreakable, it's always there. And when I get that out, and when I teach other people, I'd like to think that we can get it out locally, because there's so many people that need it. I was going to bring all the stats and all that, and I thought, do we really need stats? We know. We only have to look around us to see that there are so many people struggling, so many people to help. So that's what I'm offering, one way or another, to help you, help me, and help everybody. So before I finish, I'd like to offer you what I consider to be the Matrix moment. Have you watched The Matrix, the film? And basically what happened was there was a man who had 2 pills. And he said, if you take this one, you'll know the truth and you can't forget it. Or you take the other one, I'll tell you the truth, and when you wake up tomorrow morning, you won't know nothing about it. And that's what I'm going to offer you today, because with the information that is what I would call my foundational information, one piece of information, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And every time you look, it's still bloody there. So it isn't an illusion, it isn't magic, it's none of those things. It's not scary or weird. It's completely natural, completely free, completely effortless, and I think it's about time we utilise it. What do you say? Cheers. So thoughts are a crazy thing. It's just like in your mind, isn't it? Your mind chatter. And even when you try to go quiet, it does this. And that's what I call Amy. And Amy is a part of you, part of the brain, the electrical functioning, your fight, flight, freeze, your guardian warrior, just waiting for the chance to take over your body and to go and have all the fun excess things. Amy always has to walk this path with you. Without Amy, you would be very vulnerable. You'll be vulnerable to danger and to harm. So as much as sometimes Amy can seem irritable or a darn nuisance, actually, she's your friend, but she's not your best friend. Your best friend is that deeper, wise part. The one that's observing Amy, aware of the truth, and not, for want of a better word, contaminated. Just notice your breath. Entering and leaving your body. Creating the most perfect atmosphere, the perfect condition for your heart to light up this wonderful system that we call body. Notice your senses are working perfectly. Bringing to life the room as we sit. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice the movement. Pulses, sensations. Notice the temperature on your face. Notice that you're just noticing. You're aware. Aware of your body. That's busy, automatically living And notice too, there's a part that's just still and very peaceful. Notice your thoughts. The story it's telling you. Without judgment. As a thought arises, allow it to pass. There's no need to pay attention to it. It's just a thought. Because the thoughts are just a busy mind. Amy. And you're not your mind. You're before the mind. And you're not your body. You're before your body. Formless into form, form into formless. That's all. Notice that inner dialect. Trying to take your attention. There's nothing to do. Just witness the still space, the gap between the thoughts, before the thoughts, and indeed after the thoughts. Thoughts are like your heartbeat. Just a natural phenomenon. Electrical impulses fired by the brain, hooking together to give an experience. Flavourless, neutral, like a cup of hot water, only flavoured by the tea or coffee that you add to it. "90,000 opportunities a day to remember the truth. or to be clouded with the illusion. Know that the emotions that you experience every day is like the current in the sea, ever moving. Created by your body barometer, tasting and experiencing its surroundings, creating form. Sometimes the sea is calm, and other times the oceans and waves raise. Whilst you float safely on top, observing the clouds passing in the sky. And the problem is that when we look at a cloud, we follow it across the sky because it catches our attention. It's interesting, different, reminds us of something. It affects us. Good or bad. Black, white, grey, whatever. And if we forget the truth, we will be prone to being under the weather. The truth being that we are not the body, the waves, the clouds. We're none of those things. That we're the sky, always there, present, untouchable, unbreakable, and still. And when we sense back further into the formless, the energy, the creative force behind this life in field energy, all flowing, we get a sense there's no temperature, neither hot nor cold. No sound, though it's just comfortable, peaceful. Neither light nor dark, no beginning nor end. Always there, always present, and simply observing itself in form. Notice how peaceful your body is. And if your mind chatter is saying, what is she talking about? Don't worry. It's just Amy. Just thought. Just go with the feeling. Look for the stillness. Because like the North Star, it's always there. And you see, when you work from this place, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. There's no judgment, there's no fear, because you're untouchable, unbreakable. And this is the space that we are born from. And when we come into form, and we come into life, we are made of innate health and well-being, which is unbreakable. The only thing that can be broken is the idea that we're anything else, and that's the problem. If we believe that we're anything more than this creative force. And even if it doesn't make any sense to you, even if you don't get it, it's okay. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to make sense. Just notice how your body feels when it hears something that resonates with the truth, because it just automatically switches off and allows you to feel good. And you know you're only ever one thought away from accessing this. One tiny thought of those 90,000 in a day. And when you recognize that there's only one time, it makes it easier. For you see, Amy and our mind and our body utilize the past, and it projects it into the future. And any fears or trepidation or worry that we have, it tells us that it might happen again. And then we start to maneuver. We try to do things differently. When in actual fact, all we have to do is remember one thing, and that there's only one time, and it's now. So I ask you, my friends, to just live in the present moment. That's why it is called a gift. The future doesn't exist. The past is over. And as we say in Cornwall, have a pasty and enjoy.